Velexia Prime was a giant space station that hung above a bright blue moon. Ships came and went all day, carrying leaders, traders, and soldiers from 100 different worlds. The halls were wide and clean, lit by white strips that hummed softly. Every person who walked there felt small, for the walls showed banners of many empires. Yet none of those banners drew more whispers than the name of one young woman who lived on the top level. Her name was Saralin, and the entire station seemed to revolve around her without truly touching her. Saralin belonged to the royal line of the Centauri. Her skin carried a faint silver glow, and thin patterns of blue traced her cheeks like gentle rivers. Elegant gowns flowed behind her, always soft green or sky blue, never bright enough to look proud, yet never dull enough to look weak. She spoke rarely in public. Even when she did, her words were calm, almost musical. Every guard nearby bowed low, but their eyes stayed tense. They knew the stories. Anyone who tried to speak to Saralin without permission later vanished, or was found bruised and silent, too scared to talk about what happened. Rumors spread faster than cargo drones. Some claimed Saralin carried an ancient curse that harmed fools who dared to stand close. Others said her bodyguards, the towering Vorish, used hidden blades the size of swords. A few whispered about a rival warlord who watched from afar, ready to punish any hand that reached for the heiress. Whatever the truth, travelers learned the same rule on their first day: admire the Centauri heiress from a safe distance, and never meet her eyes. One cycle after sunrise, a fresh unit of Terran Defense Forces landed on Velexia Prime. They wore light gray battle coats and walked with steady feet. Their job was routine: protect Terran diplomats during trade talks and make sure no pirate bands slipped inside the docking rings. Among them marched Cole Danner, a soldier with clear brown eyes and a calm face. He stood a head taller than most of his team, but he spoke slowly, as if thinking about every sentence before letting it fly. Some said he had earned medals in past skirmishes. Others only knew he never turned away from trouble. Cole felt the air of the station buzz with tension the moment he stepped off the shuttle. He heard the name Saralin in half a dozen languages before he even reached his bunk. Most voices carried fear, but a few carried wonder. He did not understand how one person could spark so many strong feelings. So, instead of following the gossip, he chose to watch and wait. That evening, the station hosted a grand banquet in the Hall of Harmonies. Tables floated a few inches above the floor, held by small gravity discs that made plates seem to glide. Holographic fish drifted through the air beside real steam rising from soups. Every seat was full, yet a wide path stayed clear near the door. When two Vorish stepped through that door, armor dark and polished silence spread like cool water across hot sand. Saralin walked between them. Her steps were gentle, almost slow. Yet each placed heel made a quiet chime against the glass-like floor. No one dared to look at her face, afraid that even a glance might draw her guardian's wrath. But Cole, standing at his post near the entrance, lifted his eyes. Not by accident, not by mistake, he simply wanted to see the person behind. The rumors their gazes met. The station felt still, though music continued to play somewhere overhead. Cole did not flinch or lower his head. He offered the smallest respectful nod a soldier could give without bending a knee. Saralin's pale silver eyes widened, as if she had found a sunrise in a place that had only known shadows. Then, so faint that only the closest could see, she returned the nod. The moment lasted a heartbeat. She moved on, and the hum of voices resumed, now sharper with new rumors. Cole's squad pulled him aside minutes later. A senior officer hissed under his breath, telling him he was insane. The Terran ambassador himself appeared, face red with worry, warning that one wrong step near the heiress could ignite a crisis bigger than any single human. Cole listened. He respected the chain of command. But inside he asked himself why a simple nod should shake an entire station if nothing evil stood behind it. He had seen fear on battlefields. This felt different. It felt like people were trapped by stories they no longer understood. That night Cole could not sleep. He walked. The quiet ring around the Terran quarters, boots echoing in the stillness. Through a tall window he saw the moon below, half in shadow. He wondered if Saralan also stared at that silent sphere, thinking of freedom instead of duty. He thought of the way her eyes held both strength and longing when they met his. For reasons he could not yet name, he decided he would speak to her. Again, not as a challenge, not as defiance, but as a simple act of respect between two living souls. Far above, on the royal deck, Saralan sat alone in a room filled with soft light. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling her heart beat fast for the first time in years. She whispered one careful word, human. It was neither fear nor anger in her voice. It was hope that someone had finally looked at her and seen. More than a legend or a curse. She wondered if that hope would survive the morning sun. Across Velexia Prime, corridors shook gently as cargo haulers docked. Life moved on, yet a new thread now ran through every tale told in low voices, the human soldier who met the heiress's eyes and lived to tell the story. No one knew what would come next. But for Cole and Saralan, a door had cracked open, and neither outer rumor nor inner doubt could close it again. The great hall of Velexia Prime was alive with colors and voices, but a silent tension hung in the air. Every eye was drawn to Saralan as she entered, flanked by her fierce Vorish guards. Her long gown brushed the floor softly, shimmering like moonlight on still water. Though surrounded by powerful beings, she seemed alone, a quiet star in a crowded sky. Cole stood among the Terran soldiers near the banquet entrance. His heart beat steady, but his mind raced. After the silent nod the night before, he wondered if she had truly noticed him. Now, as she walked past, their eyes met again. This time it was not by chance. Cole held her gaze with calm courage. In Saralan's eyes, Lynn Cole felt a strange pull, a voice inside telling him to step forward, but he did not. He stayed still, letting her presence wash over him. He knew the rules. No one approached the Zentari heiress without invitation. Yet something about Saralan's eyes told him the rules might be broken tonight. As the banquet continued, the Terran ambassador caught Cole's arm. His face was pale and serious. "Danner," he said quietly, "stay away from her. This is not your fight. The Zentari have long histories of conflict. One wrong move could bring war." Cole nodded, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He watched Saralan from across the room, noting how she seemed distant, as if trapped behind invisible walls. He wondered what life was like for her, locked in gold. And fear. Later, near the edge of the hall, Cole found a quiet space under a large window. The stars outside twinkled cold and distant. Suddenly he felt a presence. Turning slowly, he saw Saralan standing there, away from the crowd, her eyes searching. "You do not fear me," she said softly. Cole shook his head. "Fear is for those who do not understand. I see you, not the stories." She smiled faintly, a delicate curve that seemed to brighten the dim light. "No one has said that to me in a long time." They spoke in whispers, sharing small truths in a world that expected silence. Saralan told Cole about the weight of her family name, the endless duties, and the loneliness behind the throne. She spoke of the Vorish, loyal but unyielding, and the enemies who watched every move. Cole listened, amazed to hear the voice behind the legend. He shared stories of Earth, of soldiers who fought not for glory but to protect those they loved. His words were simple, but they carried hope. Suddenly, a sharp alarm echoed through the station. Red lights flashed. The Vorish appeared instantly, their armor shining. Saralan's calm face hardened. "Forbiddance," one of the guards said coldly. "You have broken the law by speaking to the heiress." Cole's heart clenched. Before he could answer, strong hands grabbed him. The Vorish pulled him away, ignoring his protests. Saralan's eyes followed him, full of something between sorrow and defiance. In the cold holding cells beneath the station, Cole sat alone. The door hissed shut, leaving him in darkness, yet his mind burned with questions. Why had Saralan risked so much? What did she see in him? Word spread quickly. The news of a human soldier speaking freely with the Zentari heiress caused shockwaves. Some praised Cole's bravery, others feared the consequences. The station's usual calm fractured, and whispers turned to heated debates. The next day, Cole was brought before the Galactic Council, a circle of leaders from many worlds. The chamber was vast, filled with tall seats and glowing symbols. Saralan sat quietly near the center, her presence commanding silence. The chief judge, a stern alien with deep green eyes, spoke first. Koldanner, you are accused of breaking the sacred laws by approaching the Zentari heiress without permission. How do you plead? Kol stood tall. I did not break any law knowingly. I saw a person, not a symbol. I chose to speak with kindness. Murmurs filled the chamber. Saralan rose slowly, her silver robes flowing. I confirm his words, she said clearly. He approached me with respect, not threat. I do not wish him punished. The council members exchanged uncertain looks. Some whispered that Sira Lin had never spoken so openly before. Others worried about setting a dangerous precedent. Saralan raised a hand. I claim my ancient rights as heiress. I choose who may stand near me. The chamber fell silent. Cole met her gaze, feeling the weight of her words. Outside, the station waited, breath held. For the first time in years, the silent heiress had spoken, and a human soldier stood by her side. The story of their bond was only beginning. The halls beneath Velexia Prime's shining surface were cold and quiet. Cole sat alone in a small cell. The walls, smooth and gray, lit only by a soft blue glow from a panel above the door. His hands rested on his knees, but his mind was alive with questions. Why had Saralan chosen to speak for him? What did it mean for both of them? Outside his cell, footsteps echoed steadily. A door slid open, and a figure entered. It was not a guard or a council member, but Saralan herself. She moved with calm grace, her silver skin glowing softly in the dim light. Her blue eyes, filled with thought and something deeper, met Cole's. I did not want you here, she said quietly. But now that you are, you must know the truth. Cole nodded, his voice steady. I am ready. She sat on a low bench nearby. My family's power comes with chains. I am bound by law, by fear, and by enemies who wish to see me fall. Speaking with a human like you against all rules is dangerous. Many will try to use it against me. Cole studied her face. But you did not stop me. No, she said. Because you see me not as a prize or a tool but as a person. That is rare. For a long moment they sat in silence. Then Saralan spoke of her secret, a gift she hid even from her closest guards. She was a telepath, able to hear thoughts and feelings, but such power made her vulnerable. If the wrong people discovered her true strength, war would follow. I kept it hidden to keep peace, she explained. But I feel it slipping. My enemies grow bolder. Cole's eyes hardened. Then we fight. She smiled faintly, but sadness shadowed her face. You do not understand. This is not a battle of weapons. It is a war of trust and fear. Before Cole could ask more, loud voices and boots approached. The Vorash stormed in, their dark armor clanking. The council demands your presence, one growled to Saralan. She rose smoothly. I must go, but I will return. Cole watched her leave, feeling a new determination grow inside him. He was no longer just a soldier following orders. He was part of something bigger. Later, Cole was taken to a grand chamber where the Galactic Council gathered. Alien leaders sat in a circle, their faces showing curiosity and caution. Saralan stood before them, calm and regal. The chief judge's deep voice filled the room. Saralan of Zentari, your another voice, sharp and clear, spoke for the first time. If she claims her right to choose, what of the alliances we have made, the peace we keep? Saralan lifted her hand, silencing the room. Peace built on fear is fragile. It is time to build trust. Cole stood behind her, steady and silent. His presence spoke louder than words. The council debated long and hard. Some feared change, others hoped for it. Finally, the chief judge spoke again. We grant Saralan the right to choose her guard. But any threat to the station will be met with force. Relief washed over Saralan's face. She nodded. Thank you. As the council dispersed, Saralan turned to Cole. You have a place. Here now, but be warned, many eyes watch us. Not all welcome this? Cole smiled. I'm ready. Days passed, and news of the trial spread across Velexia Prime. Some whispered admiration for the human soldier who dared to break rules. Others plotted in shadows, uneasy with the new bond. One evening, Cole found Saralin in the station's garden under a sky of artificial stars. She looked at him with quiet hope. "Will you stand with me?" she asked. "Always," he replied. Together. They faced a future full of challenges, but also of possibility. The silent heiress and the brave human soldier had opened a door that no one could close. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was quiet once again, but the air still hummed with tension. Saralin sat beside Cole, her calm presence steadying the nervous soldiers and diplomats around her. The room was filled with leaders from many planets, each watching the new alliance carefully. Saralin's silver eyes scanned the faces in the chamber. She knew many did not trust the human soldier. They saw him as a simple fighter, unworthy to stand beside an heiress. But Saralin had made her choice. She had seen courage in Cole, something rare in all the stars. The council's chief judge, a tall alien with deep green skin, spoke first. "Saralin, you have claimed your ancient rights to choose your guard, but this choice challenges our laws. What protections will you offer this human?" Saralin met his gaze without fear. "Cole Danner is no ordinary soldier. He stands for honor, loyalty, and peace. I will protect him as I protect myself." A murmur ran through the council. Some leaders frowned, others looked surprised. The weight of centuries-old rules pressed against Saralin's words. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the room. It belonged to Ambassador Vrax, a representative from the warlike Joran species. His scaled hands clenched the armrests. "This alliance is dangerous. The human may be brave, but he is weak compared to our warriors. If he fails, the consequences could be deadly." Saralin's expression did not change. "Strength is more than muscle and weapons. It is heart and mind. Cole has both." The debate continued late into the cycle. Many questioned Saralin's decision, fearing it would upset the fragile balance of power. Others saw hope in the new bond between human and heiress. The council finally agreed to a trial period. Cole would serve as Saralin's personal guard. Under close watch, that night, the station's corridors buzzed with whispered conversations. Some called Cole a hero, others called him a fool. But Cole did not listen. He focused on his new duty, knowing the path ahead would not be easy. Saralin invited Cole to the royal deck, a place few had seen. The room was large and open, with windows, looking out into deep space. Stars twinkled far away, cold and beautiful. "This is where I come to think," Saralin said softly. "Where I remember who I am." Cole looked out at the stars. "You are more than an heiress. You are a leader." She smiled, a small light in the darkness. "And you, Cole, are my strength." Days passed as Cole trained with the Vorish guards, learning their ways and earning their respect. At first, the Vorish were cold and distant. They doubted a human could protect their heiress. But Cole's steady courage won them over. Meanwhile, Saralin worked to rebuild her image. No longer just a silent beauty hidden behind guards, she spoke at meetings and visited markets. Her people began to see her as a true leader, not a trophy, but shadows still loomed. Rival factions watched Velexia Prime closely, waiting for a chance to strike. Rumors spread of a secret plan to capture Saralin and break the fragile peace. One evening, as Cole walked the gardens, a sharp sound stopped him. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, a masked assassin, moving fast and silent. Before Cole could react, the attacker lunged. Cole's training took over. He blocked the strike and grappled with the stranger. The fight was quick and fierce, but Cole's strength and skill won. Breathing hard, Cole looked at the attacker's mask. He recognized that together they began planning new defenses and strategies. Cole felt a bond growing stronger, not just of duty, but of trust and friendship. In the quiet moments, Saralin shared stories of her childhood, of hopes and fears she had never told anyone. Cole listened, honored to be the one she trusted. Their partnership was no longer just about rules or politics. It was about two souls finding courage in each other's strength. Outside, Velexia Prime shone bright against the dark stars, a beacon of hope and change. And at its heart stood the heiress and her human guard ready to face whatever came next. The days on Velexia Prime grew tense as the station prepared for what might come. Soralin and Cole moved with purpose through the crowded halls, their bond growing stronger with every passing hour. No longer just heiress and guard, they were partners facing an uncertain future. Saralin's silver skin seemed to glow softly under the station's bright lights. Her eyes held new fire, a mix of hope and fierce determination. She had begun to speak openly about her vision for her people and the galaxy beyond. Many listened, some with respect, others with doubt. But her voice was no longer the quiet murmur it once was. It carried the strength of a leader ready to face her destiny. Cole, once a lone soldier among thousands, had become her closest ally. The Vorash, the mighty guards who had once been cold to him, now watched with guarded respect. They saw how he stood tall beside Soralin, never faltering even as threats grew near. One afternoon, as Soralin held a meeting with council members from several planets, a messenger arrived with urgent news. A fleet from a rival warlord's territory was moving closer to Velexia Prime. Armed and ready to attack, the room fell silent. Saralin's face was calm but serious. "They seek to capture me," she said, "to use me as a pawn in their game of power." Cole stepped forward. "We must prepare to defend the station. The Vorash and Terran soldiers will stand together." Plans were quickly made. Defenses were strengthened, patrols increased, and communication lines secured. Cole worked closely with the station's commanders, using his knowledge of Terran tactics to improve our strategy. That night, as stars glittered far beyond the station's windows, Soralin and Cole met in the royal garden. The space around them was peaceful, but both knew danger was near. "You carry great responsibility," Cole said softly, "but you are not alone." Soralin looked at him, her eyes shining. "With you by my side, I feel ready for whatever comes." Their moment was interrupted by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed and the station's voice called out, "Warning! Hostile ships approaching. Prepare for battle." Cole grabbed Saralin's hand and led her to the command center. Around them, the sounds of soldiers rushing and machines powering up filled the air. Outside the station, the enemy fleet grew larger by the minute. Their ships moved like shadows across the stars, weapons ready. Cole stood at the command console, issuing orders calmly. Vorash fighters patrol the outer ring. Terran soldiers ready the defense systems. Soralin watched from the secure viewing platform. She felt the weight of her people's hopes on her shoulders, but also the strength of the human beside her. The battle began with sudden blasts of light and thunderous explosions. The station's shields held strong, but enemy fighters pressed forward, trying to find a weak spot. Cole led a squad of soldiers to defend a key docking bay. They fought fiercely, pushing back attackers with determination. During the chaos, Saralin's hidden power came alive. She closed her eyes, focusing her mind. Slowly, waves of energy flowed from her hands, creating a protective shield that strengthened the station's defenses. The Vorash warriors fought bravely alongside the Terrans, their sharp claws and armor making them fierce opponents. Hours passed, but the enemy's assault did not weaken. Then, Cole noticed a massive ship attempting to break through the station's rear defenses. Without hesitation, he gathered a small team and boarded a fighter to intercept. The fight was dangerous, but Cole's skill and quick thinking helped him disable the enemy's ship before it could cause serious damage. When the battle finally ended, the enemy fleet retreated into the darkness of space. Velexia Prime had survived. The station erupted in cheers. But Cole and Soralin knew this was only the beginning. Later, in the quiet aftermath, Soralin approached Cole. "Your courage saved many lives today." Cole shook his head. "We saved." Then together, she smiled warmly. "You are more than a guard, Cole. You are my partner and friend." Their bond was no longer just about survival. It was about trust, respect, and hope for a better future. As the stars shone brightly beyond the station, Soralin and Cole stood side by side, ready to face the challenges ahead, united and strong. The quiet after the battle on Velexia Prime was like the calm before a storm. The station had survived, but the threat still loomed large. Saralan and Cole knew that their fight was far from over. The halls buzzed with activity. Soldiers repaired damaged systems, and leaders met to plan the future. But Cole's thoughts kept returning to the enemy fleet's strength. How had they managed such a fierce attack so suddenly? One evening, Cole found Saralan alone in the royal garden. The artificial stars above twinkled softly, casting gentle light on her silver skin. She looked tired but determined. "We need answers," Cole said. "If they come again, we must be ready." Saralan nodded. "I will use my gifts to find out. Who is behind this?" She closed her eyes and reached deep into her mind, sending out waves of energy. Her telepathic power was rare and dangerous, but she had learned to control it. Slowly, images and feelings flowed back, dark faces, whispered plans, and a hidden base far beyond the known territories. "This is the enemy's stronghold," Saralan said. "If we strike there, we can end this." Cole's jaw tightened. "Then we must act fast." They gathered a small team of trusted soldiers and Vorish warriors. "Plans we." Cole looked at Saralan. "This will not be easy." She nodded. "But we have no choice." The team landed in a shadowed valley far from the base's main gates. They moved carefully, avoiding patrols and traps. Saralan's power helped them sense danger and stay hidden inside the fortress. The enemy was preparing for another attack on Velexia Prime. Dark figures planned their moves with cold precision. Suddenly, Cole's squad struck. Using speed and surprise, they disabled the shields and opened a path to the heart of the base. The fight was fierce. Enemy soldiers rushed to defend their home, but Cole and his team fought with skill and courage. The Vorash warriors used their strength and speed to push back attackers. Saralan focused her energy, creating barriers to protect her team and striking with bursts of power that stunned enemies. As they reached the control room, Cole faced the enemy leader, a tall figure with glowing eyes and cruel smile. "You will not stop us," the leader sneered. Cole raised his weapon. "We stop here." The battle was intense, but Cole's determination and Saralan's power turned the tide. The enemy leader was defeated and the base's defenses fell. With the stronghold destroyed, the threat to Velexia Prime faded. The rival warlords' plans were broken, and peace had a chance to grow. Back on Velexia Prime, Saralan and Cole were greeted as heroes. The station's people cheered, their hope renewed. Saralan looked at Cole and smiled. "You were brave beyond measure." Cole shook his head. "We were brave together." Their partnership had faced its greatest test and emerged stronger. In the days that followed, Saralan began to speak openly about a new future, one where different species could live in peace and trust. Cole stood beside her, proud to be part of a story that was still being written. The stars outside Velexia Prime shone brighter than ever, a reminder that even in the darkest places, hope and courage could light the way. The quiet halls of Velexia Prime had changed. Where once whispers of fear and doubt filled the air, now there was a hum of hope. The story of Saralan, the Zentari heiress, and Cole, the human soldier, had spread far beyond the station. Their courage had become a symbol, a sign that change was possible. Saralan stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars that stretched endlessly before her. Her silver skin caught the soft light, and her eyes shone with quiet strength. The weight of her title still rested on her shoulders, but it no longer felt like a chain. It felt like a promise, a chance to lead her people to a new future. Cole approached quietly. His steps were soft but confident. "The council is ready for your next speech," he said, offering a small smile. Saralan turned to him, her smile warm. Together then, in the great chamber, leaders from many planets had gathered once again. This time they came not just to judge, but to listen. Saralan's voice rang clear and true as she spoke of unity and peace. She spoke of her people's strength and her hope for alliances built on trust, not fear. Cole stood at her side, a steady presence. His brown eyes scanned the room, seeing the faces of those who had once doubted, now leaning forward in attention. After the speech, many approached Saralan with respect. Some offered friendship, others asked to learn more about the Zentari and the humans who stood with them. The future that once seemed distant now felt close, but not all welcomed this new era. In the shadows, some whispered of rebellion. Old fears died hard, and not all were ready to embrace change. One evening, as Saralin and Cole walked through the station's gardens, they discussed what lay ahead. "We have come far," Saralin said softly, "but the path is still long," Cole nodded. "We face challenges, yes, but we face them together." Their bond had grown deeper than duty. It was built on trust, respect, and shared hopes. They had faced danger side by side, and that had forged a connection few could understand. Suddenly, the station's alarms blared. Red lights flashed. A new threat had arrived, an unknown fleet moving fast toward Velexia Prime. At the climax of the fight, Cole found himself face to face with the enemy's lead ship. Using every skill he had, he disabled the ship's weapons and forced it to retreat. When the last enemy ship fled, cheers erupted across the station. Velexia Prime had survived once more. As the dust settled, Saralin and Cole stood together on the observation deck. The stars twinkled peacefully again. "You have shown true bravery," Saralin said, her voice full of gratitude. Cole smiled. "It was because we stood together." They looked out at the endless sky, knowing that their journey was not over. There would be more battles, more challenges, but they would face them as one. In that moment, the Aerith and the human soldier understood something powerful, that no matter the differences between their worlds, courage and friendship could bridge any gap. Velexia Prime shone like a beacon in the darkness, a place where hope lived and grew, and at its heart stood two souls who dared to change the stars.